My name is Sarita Brown. I am President of Excelencia in Education, and on behalf of everyone who has worked to make this event possible, bienvenidos to the 2022 Celebración de Excelencia. This evening, this moment, is when we come together in common cause, focused on student success, and even more specifically, Latino student success. And we do so knowing that change is possible, that it matters what each of us does, what all of us does, and that it matters that we measure impact and that we're able to replicate that which is effective. With that as our backdrop, and with this idea of making common cause, Deborah Santiago, co-founder of Excelencia, and our entire team are immensely honored that our Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, is here with us tonight. As an educator by nature and spirit, as a public servant in almost every aspect of his life, he has brought to the U.S. Department of Education hope, optimism, and a fierce commitment to getting it done. Secretary Cardona, the floor is yours.
Thank you. ¿Cómo están? Me alegro. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Sarita and Deborah, for all you do. Thank you for the introduction. Me siento entre familia aquí. There's a feeling. For 18 years, you've been raising the bar for how we serve and support Latino students by recognizing those who do it intentionally. And congratulations to all the finalists and the recipients. You deserve the round of applause. Thank you. What you do matters. What you do matters so much. It matters so much. It mattered 30 years ago to a kid who encountered the ay bendito effect that is so often placed on our Latino youth. You know the ay bendito effect, right? Poor thing. That mentality that often translates into soft, sometimes unintentional microaggressions and a soft nest of lowered expectations by well-intentioned adults that often translate different into bad. As if the more boxes you check determines the aptitude for success and contribution. Let's see how many boxes I checked. Latino, check. Economically challenged district, check. First-generation college student, check. Ay bendito. Technical high school graduate, check. English learner, check. For some, the thinking might have been, maybe with enough support, Miguelito could graduate college. Instead of thinking, here is someone that can lead the nation's schools. But what some see as deficits, I see as my superpower. Being bilingual and bicultural prepared me to understand different perspectives better. Not to mention, speak to more people around the world. Being from an economically stressed community helped me realize that intelligence is not measured in assets. Being a tech school graduate reminds me that our students need options to be successful in life. What some saw as deficits, I saw and I see as assets. Those experiences enriched my life and are an important part of the reason why I can now advise the President of the United States on issues of education across our country. Together, let's go from ay bendito to raising the bar. I want to raise the bar for our Latino students who might be on similar trajectories to mine, so they have higher expectations, more opportunities, a system that doesn't attribute deficit to assets. That has never mattered more. Our nation's Hispanic community is now 62 million strong. Roughly 1 in 5 students in this country are Latino. Investing in our Latino students is investing in America. Imagine the potential of this country when we get this right. That's why I'm asking you to use the same urgency you used the last 2 years to battle COVID to battle complacency for the next 2 years. We cannot normalize underachievement. We cannot normalize nearly half of Latino college goers not completing their degrees. We cannot normalize systemic challenges like underrepresentation and low expectations. We cannot normalize a teaching force in K-12 and higher ed that does not reflect the beautiful diversity of this nation. Let's fight complacency together. There's more urgency and money in education than ever before. We invested $40 billion in higher education through the American Rescue Plan, including $11 billion for Hispanic serving institutions. This summer, our department hosted our first ever Raise the Bar Summit to lift up institutions walking the walk on equity and inclusion, kind of like what Taylor was talking about in the other room. That summit included several Excelencia leaders from Northern Virginia Community College to El Paso Community College. Are they here? Let's give them a round of applause. We're also proposing bold investments in college completion and retention. And earlier this year, we secured $5 million for new college completion grants. We're just planting seeds with that. We're also working to make college more affordable, a huge challenge for Latino families. I'm proud that we secured the largest Pell increase in a decade. And the president's plan to double Pell by 2029 would dramatically decrease Latino students' reliance on loans for college. Speaking of loans, has anyone heard of the news lately from our offices? President Biden has announced up to $20,000 in debt relief for Pell recipients and $10,000 for all low and middle income borrowers. We're going to make this happen. Just today, before I came here, I signed 50 letters going to governors, letting them know how many in their states would receive funds and how many in their states would totally have their debts relieved. They're getting those numbers from me today so that they realize the benefits for their community and for their state. Millions of Latinos will soon owe less or nothing on their student loans. I'm really proud to say that 1 out of 2 Latinos can have their entire loan amount forgiven with this action. We in the Biden-Harris administration are doing our part for Latino student success. But we're counting on leaders like you to keep raising the bar and to continue to partner with us, like Sarita's doing. I told my staff yesterday, I said, listen, Sarita's one of the smartest people that I've met with since I've become Secretary of Education. So keep her coming into the office. And I'm not just saying that because she shares a name with my mother. We're going to continue to partner. We're going to continue to listen because we know the answer lies with us. You have the answers. You're here for a reason. It's our job to lift up what you're doing, systematize it, make it the norm across the country, not the exception. And that's why this partnership matters a lot to me. That's why this partnership matters so much. So today, let's normalize all the things that earned you the seal of excelencia and what it represents. I'm proud to stand here as a Latino Secretary of Education, but it shouldn't be a counterexample at every step of my journey. It should be the norm. It should be the norm. Let's normalize recognizing the potential of Latino students everywhere. Let's normalize intentional collaboration to lift them up. And let's normalize a system that can routinely produce future Latino engineers, astronauts, artists, and even future secretaries of education like Central Connecticut State University did. And I see Dr. Toro here. Thank you. My undergrad, that's where I learned about myself. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Central Connecticut State University. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Toro. Congratulations to all of the Seal of Excelencia recipients today. And thank you. Keep raising the bar. Vamos a seguir pa'lante. Vamos a seguir pa'lante. Y me gustaría quedarme aquí. I'd love to stay here. I got this little thing called debt relief planning that we're doing. And I have I think a minute call in a couple minutes with the White House, only the third one today, on how we're going to roll this out. But we're going to get it done. Our kids need it. Our country needs it. And look, at the Department of Education, we're going to continue to support you to lift up best practices. We're on the same team. We're going to get it done. Thank you for all you do. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for making time to be with us today. So as we get started with a tradition that we are so proud to bring to the country, because all of you that are here at the Mayflower Hotel were able to be together, all of you who are online, and we are told that there are thousands through our partnership with Diverse Issues, this is a moment where we get to act on what we value. And what we value is the commitment and courage to make a difference and to do it with an eye towards serving Latino students. Those of you who have ever come to this event in the past, you've heard this line: good ideas need solid support. Well, I had the opportunity to share with Secretary Cardona that Deborah Santiago and I had the rare gift that has forged a partnership when the two of us served in the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanic Americans. And when we served, the secretary is saying I'm smart. The only reason I'm smart is I get to hang out with her. What we did was then First Lady Hillary Clinton had the first convening on Latino youth. And what we knew is that there were many things going on. But what Deborah has taught me and many of us is that it's got to be written. We've got to keep it before people, which is one of the reasons why we're thrilled at the Excelencia Library, which I encourage you to check out before you leave this room. But the point of it is that solutions must be recognized, and then they must be known. To do that, you can have a great idea, which is what Deborah had, a methodology to look at practices that were making a difference. But for that to turn into a national initiative, the only in the country that looks at what is having a positive impact on Latino student success in higher education, that takes more than our ganas, our ánimo. That takes investment. And that investment we are so grateful for. Each year, since Examples of Excelencia has been launched, we have put it out there and leaders have responded. We have a list this year that I hope you will see and know, but there are several that in particular I want to call out. Bank of America, JPM Chase, Google, Wells Fargo. These sponsors came through at a level of investment so that we want you to know them as champions for Latino student success. ACT, Ad Astra, and the list goes on. We are a community of action. So your knowing who's invested in this cause is important. You are people of influence, and they have shown they are people, companies, organizations of commitment, a commitment to our common cause. In all of this, it's about forward motion, it's about seizing this moment, and it's about what we will do together. That's what this recognition exercise is all about. The person who gave it design, who brings it meaning, and who perpetuates it year after year es mi colega, mi hermana de la lucha, our CEO and co-founder, La Debra Santiago.
We don't want that nickname to stick. Thanks, Sarita, and thank you all for being here, and thanks to those who are investing in the work that's really making a difference. It really is an honor for us to bring attention to people who are making a difference day in and day out, often without recognition, without lots of resources and attention, but day in and day out keep their eye on students and what really matters. I think that's what motivated and compelled us. You know, we work at the national stage, and we know good policy has to be informed by good practice. And our commitment to identify and to learn from what are the good practices across the country that are making a positive impact, that have evidence of effectiveness, so that we don't have any excuse for inaction by people who say, I want to do more, but I don't know where, I don't know how, or how do we know it's really working? We have 17 years of identifying practices across the country that make no excuse for why we can't invest more and do more for our students. If we can replicate and scale the things that are working day in and day out, we can see that. We can invest in that. We can make that kind of difference. That's what keeps us motivated. And part of our work is how do we translate that when you work in public policy, where you sometimes lose the face of that student, but you know you have to find ways to address it at scale, to bring in the resources and the opportunity for more students to be served well. That's what inspires us. This year is the first year we have, I read every single one of them, but not with the care that I have, because we've got an amazing team that's been growing. And so just a little shout out to Adriana, our Vice President for Programs, and Cynthia and Andrea, who's no longer with us, but still here in spirit, and our newest member, Ashanti, all parts of a team that have been working with many of you, those here, listening, learning, helping to share the story, bringing attention to the good work that's happening. That's part of our commitment at this stage, to make sure that there are people paying attention to each of you, and it doesn't go without attention and awareness and focus. So thank you all. So my task is to be the one who brings attention to these programs. And grateful that we have a process that starts early in the year, starts in February, to get nominations from across the country. This year we had over 230 programs nominated for Examples of Excelencia, 230. And that's not even the number of programs that we know are out there. Just imagine that, if we invested in all of those programs, what that could do for our students. They represented 32 states, DC, and Puerto Rico. So it's not just the same 5, 6 states, we're all over. From that 232, we had submissions and had 20 finalists. I will tell you, every year we have a selection committee, because it is not easy to identify these programs, and every year it feels more and more challenging. So we don't have to choose. You pick these wonderful colleagues, peers. Those of you at the compendiums can see their names, but they represent a diverse group of folks across higher education and the country that are also listening and learning what's working for Latino students. These 20 finalists I honestly believe any one of them could have been the example of Excelencia. There's amazing work going on across the country. I hope you will take a look at those. We'll call them out a little bit later. But for now, the focus is on the 4 examples of Excelencia. These 4 programs at the associate, baccalaureate, graduate, and community-based organization level really are, they are amazing programs. You'll hear from students, you'll hear from sponsors and supporters. I hope that you are inspired, not just with the work you do, but what these organizations and these programs and these institutions are doing. Because it does really matter, to the Secretary's point, that we don't lose sight of why we're in DC, why we're doing what we're doing. And it is ultimately for our students. So with that, I'll get started with the first program, because we like to get to it at Excelencia, right? First program at the associate level is Latino Promise and Acer programs. This program is at Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey. So, as I said, these are 2 programs, Latino Promise and Acer programs. They're sister programs. One is in English, one is in Spanish. They offer an associate degree in a university setting. The program supports Latino students who may not have otherwise considered attending college, with a pre-college program, small classes, academic support, financial grants, personalized advising, and so much more. And as I said, there are lots of wonderful programs. What I always care about as a data nerd is, what's the evidence of effectiveness? How do we know that it's working? So while there's a lot more that we can share with you, I just want to, point of personal privilege, share 1 or 2 quick stats that highlight why a program like this is so important. The average graduation rate since 2010 for Latino Promise is 40%, more than double the current average graduation rate of 18% for Latinos in associate programs in New Jersey. More than double. And while we know graduation rate isn't the best measure, it is a useful measure. Imagine just with that traditional profile having more than double the graduation rate of others. It's important. They also take less time to earn an associate degree. On the average, 2.19 years for Latino Promise and 2.13 years for our SED program. I'm usually one that likes to round, but when it comes to years and completion, I think it's important we pay attention to the fact that they're not only educated in getting them through in a timely manner. And the results show that's having an impact. So let's hear from students in the program. And following that, we're going to have a video by a supporter.
When I was in high school with a lot of white kids, and you feel like an outcaster. So once I got to college, I was very glad to hear about this program, and I was excited to join it. And when I got here, I learned that all the classes I have were Spanish kids or Latino kids, and I feel like I could embrace my roots.
The professors really make an effort to get to know you as an individual. They get to know your name, they get to know where you're from, they get to know what problems you may have outside of class, and all those things are very beneficial towards you and towards their class. Because if they get to know you as a person, they will know what struggles you have, they will know how to help you, and better, they will know how to make you feel welcomed and join and participate.
Ya que este programa me ayudó y me ayuda mucho a poder aprender inglés de forma fluida, ya que se centra mucho en que los estudiantes salgan adelante y te da recursos para ello, ya que si no hubiera venido a esta universidad probablemente ahora mismo estaría en casa o trabajando sin poder estudiar como quiero, ya que necesitaba y necesito dinero.
So overall, I would like to thank the staff and everybody in the Latino Promise program who has been there and helped me with everything. So thank you.
Everyone here is here for the same goal. We just want a better future, and the Latino Promise will guarantee that for you.
Hi, I'm Arturo Vargas, CEO of the NALEO Educational Fund. NALEO is the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, and as a long-standing ally of Excelencia in Education's co-founders, Sarita Brown and Deborah Santiago, NALEO Educational Fund has collaborated with Excelencia for years to support great success for Latinos, and I am pleased to join in the recognition of evidence-based practices, specifically tonight in congratulating the Latino Promise and Acer programs at Fairleigh Dickinson University as a 2022 example of excelencia at the associate level. The Latino Promise and Acer programs are making an important contribution to increasing Latino talent through bilingual, ESL, and first-year support. Thousands of ambitious, committed Latino students strive to achieve academic and economic gains. The better educated they are, the greater the likelihood they will succeed in college, in the workforce, and in our society. Through Excelencia in Education's results-oriented approach to systematically identify evidence-based programs nationwide, we have information about what works for Latino students. I hope today's recognition by Excelencia to Latino Promise and Acer programs at Fairleigh Dickinson University supports their growth and success and inspires others to see what may be used at their institutions or their communities to accelerate student success in higher education and beyond. Congratulations.
So that's just a flavor of the kind of work that's being done at Fairleigh Dickinson and the difference it's making. You heard from students, you heard from a supporter, a great colleague at NALEO. Now, even more importantly, I want to hear from somebody who's helped make it happen. So if you would please help me welcoming Irene Ullo, Executive Director of the Hispanic Center, who helps run Latino Promise and Acer programs. Irene?
Thank you very much. It's really, truly such an honor to be here, and not just so much that our programs that we've worked for so many years to see it come to this stage, but really to be in collaboration with all of you in terms of what you all do and our goal to make sure that Latino students everywhere have the opportunity to get a college education and to do so for themselves and for their families and for their communities. For 15 years, we have worked steadfast, and it's not just the faculty or the staff, but it's really about celebrating students and looking at what students bring to our classrooms, to our universities, to our lives. It's really been incredibly fulfilling, and we couldn't do this alone. The support for these kinds of programs, they don't just come from a faculty member or a singular person, but from the top. We have a presidential support. We have support from our provost who's here, our dean who's here, deans who I know are watching from home, and so, and from other faculty members, and it really truly is a team effort and a joy and to work with students, and it just really comes from a place of love, that we want to support our students and see them grow, and that's why we come back every single day to do our absolute best. So thank you very much, and it's truly a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Irene. We'll stay here. We'll stay here. It's our first time we're getting it down.
And presenting is our board chair, Maria Harper-Marinick, and our past chair, William Serrata.
Well, all right. That's hearing from students and those that do the work day in and day out, hearing that commitment is so important. Want to move to the baccalaureate and also make sure that, again, a shout out to our colleagues who are joining us via live stream. It's always trying to remember we're doing this hybrid creates an opportunity to bring in more folks, but also to make sure that they feel the energy that's in this room of people who care and are focused on our students directly. So at the baccalaureate level, we have the Institute of Interdisciplinary Research at University of Puerto Rico, Calle. So the mission of the Institute of Interdisciplinary Research is to advance undergraduate research, community service, and academic creation at UPR Calle by supporting interdisciplinary regional and applied research projects. Students participate as research assistants and receive mentorship and research methodologies, personal development plans, coaching, a network of mentors and opportunities from partnerships in Puerto Rico and the United States, travel awards, and opportunities for publication. Now, we know that some of the program participants, they have higher graduation rates, about 90%, than the institutional graduation rate, which is about 50%, for the same cohort period when we were looking at these data. Among program participants, almost 80% applied to graduate school, and over 90% of the applicants were accepted. In contrast, about 40% of the overall body of students from 2015 to 2018 applied to graduate school. So thinking about this pathway, the pipeline, what's important to make sure we're getting access to good quality research and making sure that we're going forward. That's what we hear in a program like this. Let's hear from students about their participation in the Institute and what it's meant for them.
I studied my bachelor's degree in sociology at the University of Puerto Rico, Calle campus. During the last 2 years of my undergrad, I had the amazing opportunity to work under Dr. Lopez de Vitoria's mentorship in her NIH-funded project. I was involved in the recruitment of participants, data gathering, data cleaning, and data analysis of this project. And through it, I developed the fundamental skills to perform scientific research and navigate academia.
During my 4 years of undergrad studies, I was able to participate in different collaborative research projects. The research knowledge and techniques and skills that I learned helped me to obtain different research opportunities in universities like Duke University, Northwestern University, and even here in Puerto Rico.
I'm currently in my 5th year of studying pedagogy in secondary level English at the University of Puerto Rico at Calle. I'm also a research assistant for a course called Documenting Puerto Rican English, which is led by the professor Shirley Goyalo. Thanks to this course, I am now a co-author on the research paper that was recently submitted for publication.
I recently obtained a master's degree in community social psychology from the University of Puerto Rico in Rio Piedras.
I am a pre-doctoral student at the Pennsylvania State University. My research focuses on substance use disorders, neuroimaging, specifically functional MRI, and quantitative methods.
Impressive, right? Powerful to hear even our colleagues in Puerto Rico and across the country and what they're doing to make sure that we have the scholars, the research that continues to inform our communities in important work. So we heard from a student. I think we also have a supporter that also be presenting.
I'm Jennifer Gonzalez, and I represent the people of Puerto Rico in Congress. And today, I want to congratulate the University of Puerto Rico at Calle's Institute of Interdisciplinary Research for being nationally recognized as an example of excelencia in the Baccalaureate category. The Institute's long-standing and steadfast commitment to serving thousands of socio-economically disadvantaged students from the southwestern part and central regions of Puerto Rico more than merits this recognition, and I join in commending all the incredible work the Institute has done on behalf of these students since the program inception in 2003. Since then, the Institute has made a critical contribution to enhancing our students' future prospects by providing research opportunities and a supportive environment, and this includes engaging faculty, of course mentors, and students in research through training, monetary support, pre-post award support, and research-friendly policy development. In closing, I want to once again congratulate the UPR Calle program for the superb work and thousands of students' lives you have impacted over the years. In Congress, we really are happy to see those efforts. And again, felicidades a la Universidad de Puerto Rico, Recinto de Calle.
Thank you, Jennifer. This is also why it's important that we bring attention to folks like those in Congress and those in elected positions to pay attention to the critical work that you all are doing day in and day out. We've got to continue to amplify efforts, and Jennifer's a good example of that overall. But we also want to hear from those that are making it happen. So with us, we have Janice Martí from the Institute Director, who's going to share some words about the program. Please.
Thank you, everybody. I want to thank Excelencia for this great opportunity. I know this is going to be great for us to collaborate, to share knowledge with everybody, and to have more opportunities to continue to do our job. I want to thank the wonderful staff that I have there, very committed and hardworking people. I want to thank my family for supporting me for the last 15 years, our campus administration, the mentors, the researchers, the students, and especially I want to thank and name Dr. Acer Godreau. She's been the real driving force and architect of most of our initiatives, so this prize goes to her as well. What we do is that we provide opportunities for research for both faculty and students because we know that talented students are everywhere and they deserve to have that opportunity. Being an undergraduate institution, they need to do that as well as other institutions, and they need to have that opportunity. And we've seen the results, as you saw, in terms of graduation and the talented students we have in Puerto Rico and in the United States from our communities. And at the same time, we share our knowledge and service with our communities of service. Finally, I want to say that Puerto Rico has suffered a lot. We've suffered in the last 3 years. We had 5 natural disasters. The last one is happening right now as I am here. And other non-natural disasters like bankruptcy and very harsh austerity measures imposed to our university. But I am standing here on my feet. They are on their feet, and I know that with your support, your eyes, and your voice, we're gonna be here for them as well. So thank you, and pa'lante Puerto Rico y adelante Latinos.
Thank you so much. Just a point of personal privilege, we've been doing some work in Puerto Rico looking at institutional resilience as well. So I think it's indicative of what so many other institutions on the mainland ultimately have been facing and will face, and looking at institutions on the island has been absolutely critical. And we're grateful for learning the resilience and what really makes a difference there. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the associate level, talked about the baccalaureate level, just gave you a hint of the really critical work that's happening day in and day out. I hope you'll make time to talk to them. There's so much more than we can share in these quick moments with you, but that shows why they stand out and why it's so important that you get to know them. At the graduate level, we have the Master in Environmental Science at University of Texas, San Antonio. The program goals for this program, this degree, are to develop students' science identity and prepare them to be leaders in environmental science. We want to increase graduation rates, thesis completion, and job placement among students, and develop written and oral communication skills, teamwork, and leadership skills. So think about that. It's not just about the academic training, it's about them as individuals, as well as their ability to be successful. So a little bit of the evidence of effectiveness. Prior to the implementation of the program, about 1/3 of the Latino students that pursued the thesis option, and after the implementation of the program, 45% of Latino students participated in the thesis track. So from a little over 1/3 to over 45%, that's a concentrated focus on what can prepare them for research above and beyond. The program has been seen a rising number of Latino participants, and it's increased from just 9 to 32 in 3 years, again, at the graduate level. Latino student retention increased from 91% prior to the implementation of the program to 98% in a very short period of time. And this is even while the overall program saw a slight decrease for the same time period overall, but the numbers of Latinos attending and selecting the thesis option increased. So that's just a little bit about what we know is challenging in the graduate education and the impact of a program like this. Let's hear from students themselves who are participating in this program.
My area of study was mainly in how water quality changed in the central area, part of Texas. And so while studying this subject, I learned that there will always be terabytes worth of data that is publicly available online, but you need to learn how to obtain that information, how to analyze it, how to process it, and then knowing how to present what you find to other people.
As a first-generation college student, I struggled a lot with feeling out of place and being unsure of myself. However, having gone through the master's program, I feel empowered from all of the guidance, mentoring, and experiences the program provided me. From attending my first scientific conference, to gaining fieldwork experience, to being able to travel across the US, sharing my thesis research on monarch butterflies and milkweed.
So I guess the way the program impacted me was in a positive way. It really showed me what part of science I like to study and kind of gave me more direction and focus of what I want to do with my career and education. I gotta say, it was really a positive impact that the program had on my life, and I think it's really shaped my career in the way I wanted it to.
Overall, this degree has basically helped me create that science foundation in my career. It's basically something valuable that no one can take away from you.
In all, the program has changed me and my family for the better. I'm a role model to my nieces and nephews that have seen me grow and succeed over the years, and I hope that I inspire them to want more from their lives the same way the program has inspired me.
We also have a supporter that wants to share a message about the program as well.
Hello, y'all. I'm Congressman Joaquin Castro, and I represent the great city of San Antonio, Texas, my hometown, in the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm so proud to join you to recognize the University of Texas at San Antonio's Environmental Science Master's Program as an example of excelencia in education. As Texas and the nation grapple with the accelerating toll of climate change, it's critically important for the environmental science community to reflect our nation's diversity. At UTSA, the Master's Program in Environmental Science plays an important role in increasing Latino talent in a critical area of national need. Over the last 3 years, the number of Latino students enrolled in the program has risen 60%, and Latino student retention has increased to 98%, which is truly remarkable. For years, I've worked closely with Excelencia's co-founders, Sarita Brown and Deborah Santiago, to push colleges and universities to be more intentional about supporting Latino students. Thank you to everyone at Excelencia in Education for working to bring positive attention to the people, practices, and programs that accelerate Latino success in higher education. And thank you to the dedicated professors, students, and administrators at UTSA who are fostering the next generation of Latino scientists and leaders. Congratulations to all of today's honorees. I look forward to learning more about your work and watching as your students soar.
That's how you take program to policy, right? So to share a little bit more about the program and the work they do, we have Janice Bush, professor and department chair, Department of Integrative Biology. All right, Janice.
What an honor. I want to start by thanking Excelencia in Education for their vision and their mission, and I've really had a great time getting to know you guys over the last few months and look forward to the partnership that's going to continue to grow. I also want to thank the students that are eager to learn, eager to grow, and willing to take on the challenge of being the next leaders in environmental science. And of course, the faculty that are adapting their mentoring styles for the current generation of students and willing to help the students build that science identity. I want to thank external funding, the National Science Foundation's Integrative Graduate Innovation Grant Program, as well as the USDA's Hispanic Serving Institution Grant Program. And I want to thank a few external partners, past and present employees of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Dr. Benjamin Tuggle and Craig Zarnecki, past and present employees of the U.S. Forest Service, Dr. Cheryl Jefferson and Dr. Monica Leal, and from the EPA, De Leon, Herberto De Leon. And finally, congratulations to all the other finalists and all the other programs. I look forward to learning about your successes and sharing what we found works for us. Thanks again.
Thank you, Janice. So I think, yes. Oh, sorry, I saw that there. We talked a little bit about now the effort that's going on at all of these levels, but you know, we learned years ago, hearing time and time again, it wasn't just the student support services and success at institutions, but often community-based organizations were making a powerful difference for our students. So I think about 8 years ago, we decided we needed to also bring recognition to community-based organizations that day in and day out partner with institutions, support programs that are in community to make sure that students, families, and communities are well represented and students feel that support in their academic experience and outside of that. So for 2022, the Example of Excelencia at the community-based organization level is post-secondary initiatives at Esperanza, Inc. It's located in Cleveland, Ohio. So Esperanza developed its post-secondary support program in 2015 as an expansion of their successful and long-standing high school programming, so continuing that pathway and that pipeline. They've used their Líderes Avanzando model as a foundation. They have gone beyond and have done more robust case management, internship support, and additional scholarship opportunities. And this is a CBO working with students and their success. So as evidence of their effectiveness, just a little bit of it, they have, again, people looking at data and cohorts. The program cohort persistence rates continue to increase, with the last 3 groups, so 2018 to 2020, averaging over 90% persistence rates. Esperanza has been able to support their students during the pandemic, having relatively stable persistence rates that are 31% higher than the reported national Latino persistence rate and nearly 22% higher than students overall. Keeping students engaged and involved during the pandemic, we all know, has been a challenge, and Esperanza has shown as a CBO it can do that across the country. So that's just a very small snippet of the many things that they are doing so successfully. Let's hear from some students.
Well, when we Hispanics or Latinos comes to America, we feel alone because we don't have our families here. And we can call them or text them, but it's not the same. And it feels sometimes like nobody cares about you. With the support of Esperanza, I've been always feel like I have a new family here who speak my language, share my values, my cultures, and also help me in all of the steps of my journeys.
I feel thankful because I have had this support from Esperanza since the very first moment I arrived here to the United States, which was close by 5 years ago.
Being like a first-generation college student, it's support that I need to know how to, do the best in college because my parents didn't go to college.
Well, I've been working and going to school since I was in high school, so it's definitely a nice relieving stress to not have to worry about like things that I would have had to pay for out of pocket, especially with books. It definitely adds up in the end.
So sometimes I couldn't go to school because I didn't have gas money, or sometimes I couldn't concentrate because I was hungry. So the Esperanza Scholarship helped me to cover those things so I can continue my studies.
I have had the chance to match with great mentors. One of them I would say have stuck out on my life so much that I can follow her as an example, which is Catalina Maddox. If my parents would tell me something, my eyes would be totally deaf. I would not pay attention at all. But if Catalina tells me something, I would pay as much attention as I can, because I know that if she says something, she means it.
I am currently a junior at John Carroll University, studying both accounting and Spanish.
I am right now at Baldwin Wallace University. I'm studying cybersecurity. This is my senior year, and I have been a full-time book bounty hunter or cybersecurity researcher for a CNAC Red Team.
So just knowing that I have that group of people, that group of students that I could be like, hey, I feel you, you feel me, you know, just having that type of connection really gives me esperanza, gives me hope.
Let's hear from a supporter.
Hola, my name is Norma V. Cantu. I'm from Deep South Texas. My mother and I were attending college at the same time, and so we were both first-generation college goers. I guess that makes me 1.5 generation college goer. I am so happy today to talk to you about the post-secondary initiative at Esperanza, Inc. in Cleveland, Ohio. They have been recognized by Excelencia in Education for their amazing work in preparing students for post-secondary opportunities. When I was an 18-year-old and I was applying to law school from Deep South Texas, I believed that I could get into a law school that was more than 1,000 miles away, and I believed that nothing would stop me. Not my gender, not my color, not my national origin. Well, that belief is now being multiplied so much by this recognition of the Esperanza Inc. group. For everyone who can hear me, you are our beacon of hope. You are our beacon of light. And you all are part of this celebration today. Gracias.
Well, good programs really require good people that day in and day out make sure it happens. So please help me in welcoming Victor Ruiz, the Executive Director of Esperanza, Inc.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you to Excelencia for this tremendous honor. We've been following your work for a long time, and then we know how rigorous your process is, so this affirmation means a lot. You know, Esperanza is going to be 40 years old next year, and we were founded by the community who scraped together $250 to send one student to college. And the vision was to really get more students to go to post-secondary education. Over the last 4 decades, we've developed a true kindergarten through college graduation pipeline. And we engage the entire family. We wrap our arms around our students. We provide them with what they need. And we also hold our systems accountable and partner with our institutions. So again, this affirmation is wonderful. I can't leave the stage without thanking the people who do all the work. So I'm going to put them on the spot. I'm going to ask Shirley Ruiz, our Director of Programs, Jacin Cuevas, our Assistant Director of Programs, and Jermaine Pena, who's the heart and soul of our post-secondary programs, to please stand up and get the recognition that you deserve. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so those are 4 examples of Excelencia for 2022. Again, I hope you will follow up. You all have the compendium to see what they're doing. But they're also part of another 16 organizations and programs across the country that were finalists. So just a point of personal privilege for us to be able to say many of them are able to join us today because they believe in this community of common cause, as some have shared, listening, learning from each other, not just their own recognition, but what it takes to be in community with others who are doing this important work. So I'm going to point out the programs at the associate, baccalaureate, graduate, and community-based organization level that were finalists in hopes that you will also follow up with them and the critical work that they're doing that's making a difference. At the associate level, Connect for Success at Miami-Dade College in Florida. I know we have the president here. Yes. Oh, there she is. There's Madeline, yeah. The engineering program at Wright College and Wilbur Wright College and City Colleges of Chicago, Illinois. If you were there. If you would stand so that people can see you when they come after. Thank you so much. I know your president is here as well. It's great. The Title III Leadership Excellence and Academic Preparation in STEM, LEAPS program at Laredo College in Texas. There you go. Wonderful. I hope you're also hearing the diversity of efforts and attention that's happening here, right? At the baccalaureate level, Arizona State University College Assistance Migrant Program, CAMP scholars, that's at Arizona State University in Arizona. Yes, there we go, back over here. The Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences at Rush University in Illinois. Colleagues here, there. Great. The College Assistant Migrant Program, CAMP, at Washington State University in Washington. There's our colleague there. Preparing underrepresented education to realize their teaching ambitions. Sorry about that, it's a little dark here. Puerta, great acronym, thank you, Puerta. Sonoma State University in California, my apologies. And the Supera Spanish Speaking Program at Keene University in New Jersey. There we go. I was trying to be smart and I highlighted my page that came out gray, and now with this light I can't see it, so ni modo. At the graduate level, the Inter-University Program for Latino Research, University of Illinois, Chicago, Mellon Fellows Program, University of Illinois, Chicago, in Illinois. The Knowledge River Program at University of Arizona, in Arizona. Colleagues here? Yeah, there we go. The Master of Social Work, MSM program at University of Texas, San Antonio, Texas. And then Project Upgrads, utilizing and promoting graduate resources and access for disadvantaged students, California State University, Fullerton. And at the community-based organization level, we have Career and Life Skills, the Next Step Public Charter School in DC. There we go. I like how you high-five each other right there. That's great. The College and Career Success Breakthrough Central Texas. That Breakthrough Central Texas. And the Tu Futuro Community Education Coalition in Indiana. So please do take a look in the compendium. I hope as you saw people stand, you will call them out, learn more about what they're doing, go into our Growing at Works database, see all the amazing programs that are making a difference day in and day out that we need to be paying attention to and learning from. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Sarita.
So as I said earlier, good ideas need solid support. We have supporters that are here in the room. We have supporters that have submitted videos to give you a sense of why they have supported this effort. And what we'd like to do now is to call on them to speak to why this cause and this effort motivates them for their show of support.
Good evening, colleagues and friends. My name is Tina Gridiron, and I serve as the Vice President for ACT's Center for Equity and Learning. And it is my pleasure to join the chorus of individuals that are recognizing and celebrating the great work of the awardees and nominees for tonight's event. ACT has been a partner and supporter of Celebración de Excelencia and of Excelencia in Education since 2007. We are honored to join forces with Excelencia as we support students along their education and workforce journey. The work of Excelencia is making a difference in the lives of students through their policy efforts, through their strategies and recommendations for institutional efforts that get students all the way through to completion, to their direct messaging campaigns that help us all stay the course in this great work. It is an honor to be a part of this conversation this evening, to celebrate the great work of our Examples of Excelencia, and to acknowledge the leadership that Excelencia in Education is bringing to the table. Latino students are thriving, and the great work of each organization recognized tonight is making a difference.
So part of this queuing up is that Tina Gridiron and her colleague Nancy Lewin are here in the room. I don't know if I'm going to ask them to stand, but I'm doing this as a stall for time. There we go. Wonderful. So, other supporters, let us hear from them.
Hello, I'm Ruben Barales, Senior Vice President for External Engagement at Wells Fargo. And I am so proud that Wells Fargo is a signature sponsor of Examples of Excelencia 2022. As a Mexican American, I take accelerating Latino student success very personally. My immigrant parents never experienced higher education. My father didn't go beyond elementary school, and my mother ended her education at age 16. So for us, an immigrant working class family, higher education was always a mystery. I fortunately benefited from one dedicated Latino educator in my area. And without that support, I wouldn't have been the first in my family to attend and to graduate college. But I'm just one individual. And we understand that in order to truly accelerate Latino student success, we need to reach scale. That's why Wells Fargo is a leading supporter of Hispanic scholarships across the country, and it's why Wells Fargo supports Excelencia in Education, because Excelencia in Education is a world-class operation that is building an incredible network across this country. I want to congratulate the examples, the programs that are examples of Excelencia in 2022, and wish you much success in the future. Thank you.
Thank Wells Fargo. And we thank Ruben Barales, who we hope will be able to join us for the reception and he's already here, so nobody can see anything up on the stage, so wonderful. If we can hear from another supporter, please.
Hi, I am Marcela Gallego, and I support the Racial Equality and Economic Opportunity Initiatives for Bank of America, and I am really excited to be here with you today. We want to add our recognition to the Masters in Environmental Science program at the University of Texas at San Antonio for making a deliberate effort to understand the challenges faced by Hispanic and Latino students and implementing a model that supports them from enrollment to employment. At Bank of America, we believe in Excelencia's vision. For that reason, the bank provided a 2-year, $500,000 grant to help transform higher education to better serve Hispanic and Latino students. We believe that education is one of the most powerful tools available to address economic and social inequality. But aspiring Hispanic and Latino students face many barriers as they progress in their careers, whether it is affordability, language barriers, or lack of representation. Intentionality is required to make our interventions more effective. That's why we are joining community partners like Excelencia in Education, academic institutions that are really intentional about serving Hispanic and Latino students, business leaders, and experts across the public and private sectors to continue to drive progress. Bank of America is thrilled to be with you today and to share how we are expanding our partnership with Excelencia in Education as they continue to lead innovative and actionable efforts to accelerate the success of Hispanic and Latino students in higher education. Thank you.
And while Marcela could not be here, having weathered literally the storm in Florida, I do think that there are some colleagues of Bank of America who are here in the room. So if you want to stand and wave so that people can find, there we go. And our final supporter for this effort, if we may see her video.
Education is vital for the growth and success of our communities. Hispanic and Latino students continue to excel despite a number of historical barriers. At JP Morgan Chase, we recognize that while talent is created equally, opportunities are not. That's why we remain committed to supporting the success of Hispanic and Latino students and all the communities we serve and represent. As Hispanic enrollment in higher education is expected to exceed 4.1 million students by 2026, investing in Hispanic and Latino students today is investing in the future of our communities. As part of our commitment, this year JP Morgan Chase welcomed the first cohort of college sophomore Hispanic and Latino students to join our fellowship program, designed to provide learning tools and professional skills to motivated students. Creating a sustainable change to ensure the success of Hispanic and Latino students is not an easy task, and we know we cannot do this alone. That is why we are proud to support Excelencia in Education's mission to accelerate Latino student success in higher education and the examples of Excelencia being recognized today. Thank you for helping transform the lives and careers of our students. Muchas gracias, Excelencia.
And I know that there is leadership from JP Morgan Chase because they said hello before the program started. So stand, wave. People are going to want to talk to you. It takes all of us, and all of us lean in to make good things happen. When putting together this event, this program, everything that Deborah's already talked about, everything you've just heard from, all of these are elements. And then there is one more. And that one more has been an element that Deborah and I are so privileged to think about who in this country is a voice that we think, in a moment like this, we all should hear, we all should listen to, and we should all think about what is said as we go forward. This is the setup for who do we tap to be our keynote speaker for Celebración de Excelencia. There are, every year, wonderful people to choose from all different kinds of sectors. This year, Excelencia was able to choose someone who now is close to home. Shirley Goyalo is CEO and president of College Track. She is president emerita for Ithaca College. She was part of Presidents for Latino Student Success, and she is a member of the board of directors for Excelencia in Education. With great pride, Excelencia calls on Shirley Goyalo.
Gracias, Sarita. And no pressure at the end. We're ready to have fellowship and reception time, and I am rounding this out. What has been an amazing, amazing evening, and I just want to say to mis hermanas, Sarita and Deborah, I know I have the opportunity to say this both now as a board member, but as a fellow colleague. What you have created is so beautiful and so powerful. And we say to our students all the time, right? You can't be what you don't see. And this organization and what is happening tonight and has happened since the inception of what Deborah and Sarita created is about shedding light and affirming the work that is often unseen and gets lost in the details of college rankings and traditional standards that filter and leave our kids out all the time. So we see you, we hear you, this is beautiful, and it was so incredible to see our students shine. I just want to thank them again for the incredible work that this amazing organization is doing. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. So keynote's a little big of a term. It'll be brief, wrapping tonight's amazing time together. It's so special to be here this evening to lift this kind of leadership and work up. And I want to thank you all. I know, as the Secretary of Education said, as we opened, right, we're in a room with familia. These are our fellow warriors. You all are fighting the good fight. Those listening in, our students are raising us up constantly and keeping us honest, and it is a real honor to be up here. I want to, the secretary left, but I do want to just thank him again in spirit. It was wonderful to hear him talk to a group of us about what it meant to really shake things up right now in this moment that we're in, to really be courageous and disrupt the system. And I'm going to just talk about that for a brief moment. I was a college president. I've been in higher ed, public and private, for over 20 years. I have good friends in the room, and most recently made a huge decision to move to Oakland, California, my Brooklyn of the West Coast, and take on this incredible opportunity to lead a national nonprofit that has really been in the movement of truly democratizing potential for over 2 decades. And I just want to share that I really made that move because I believe, and actually was said by my hermana who just was on the video here, that talent we know is equally distributed everywhere, but opportunity is not. And I don't know about you, but for the last couple of years, I have sensed an immense sense of urgency in our country about needing to get up every day and serve first-gen brown and black indigenous students from all walks of life, from underserved communities that absolutely need to be seen and heard and have so much to offer this great country. And so I took on an unexpected move with a really full heart, knowing that this was absolutely the right thing to do. And why am I saying that? Back to what our secretary said earlier about disrupting systems, is this is the time to be brave. I mean, if we're going to be in educational equity work, what's great for students is not often convenient for us. And what's great for students is often quite disruptive because we've gotten so comfortable in the academy in really protecting the status quo. And the organizations here that have absolutely moved the needle on evidence-based outcomes, regardless of your own lived experience, that you are moving your organizations through this, are really committed to some healthy disruption. And we have to do that in great company and be affirmed by an amazing organization that is affirming the work because it needs to be affirmed. Just a little bit personal kind of stat on me, so you know a little bit about where I'm coming from, because I am definitely biased in this work. And I do have an agenda. And as a president, people would say, well, she has this whole agenda around justice and diversity and equity. And that came loaded because I'm Latina, I'm a first gen, I have this story. But you know what? This should be the imperative of every college president in America. And every college president has an agenda. Every college president has actually a vision. Mine just happens to center the work of justice and equity in higher ed. And, lifting it, putting it into the DNA and the hardwiring of these places, which if you do that and don't let it live in the periphery, and you really have outcomes to show, then that's how you get into a little trouble. And that's okay. I never planned to go away to a 4-year college. I was needed at home. My parents hail from the beautiful country of Dominican Republic. My dad drove a cab in New York City for over 30 years. My mom was a seamstress and worked in a factory making baby clothes, standing next to her mother and her sister, her entire career. I'm the eldest of 3. I raised both of my brothers, both first responders, actually here in Fairfax County, Virginia. And I ended up going to college on an experiment on a bus, a Greyhound bus from the New York City Port Authority in New York City with 4 kids and our 5 mothers on a 26-hour bus trip down to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. And that's not a really unique story about first gens, right? Daughter of immigrants, parents that didn't have money, being a resilient and parentified child with huge responsibilities, and having to leave home and go to this thing that our families entrust our institutions with. And my mom spent 2 hours with me. I had a suitcase and a box. And then she had to say goodbye to me and get back on that bus with 4 mothers and go all the way back up to New York. The reason I share that story, and for those of you who know me in the room, you know that's a big part of my story, is my entire career in life, and this is what Excelencia really is about, is I've been thinking long and hard for a long time and trying to activate change around who gets to be on the bus in the first place. Who's sitting next to you on the bus? What's your support system? I had a cohort of 4 other kids in a crazy program that was an experiment at the time. I now sit on the board of trust at Vanderbilt for the last 8 years, the first Latinx person to be on that board. And really the most important thing, because this is in our framework at Excelencia, what are the conditions of that institution when that parent hands over their kid? Are we all set up to thrive? This is a major moment in our nation, and I want to end with a couple of comments around this because I'm going to go back to the disruption. Just to list a few things. We've been hearing tonight about the unrelentless, unapologetic nature of our climate crisis. We've been experiencing an erosion in our democracy in this country that we've been fighting to get back. The pandemic and its impact on K-12 and higher ed sectors compounded challenges and obstacles faced by our most vulnerable students. We've been faced with a monumental task around college affordability and student loan debt. We have endured the damaging executive orders of the former President of the United States and the damaging decisions all the way up to the Supreme Court, most recently with Roe versus Wade, just to name a few. So my point here is, if we can't actually get courageous and do right by students with that list of realities, and if the people in this room can't do it, then who will? And when will we? Because I think it's pretty urgent. So because of all of this and many other subtle, hidden reasons that some of our most vulnerable students, especially our Latinx, Black, Brown, Indigenous students, are dropping off of college enrollment and completion pathways, this has completely weakened the futures of our communities and our nation if we let it happen. So I guess I'm here to call us to action. We've been hearing all this inspiration from these amazing organizations, and some of them with very limited resources that have centered and prioritized this incredible, incredible movement around what it really means to democratize potential. And I'll just tell you this one thing before we go and enjoy time together. At College Track, we have this vision around democratizing potential. And we believe that if you're really going to do it, if you're going to walk the talk, if the evidence is going to be there, you can't just give students opportunity. You actually have to give them choice and power. And when you think about that, opportunity, choice, and power, that's radical. If all those things are operating at the same time for a student on a campus or in a community-based organization or in their own neighborhood, magic happens. And that's what I am getting up for every day. And so you all know this, but let's finish up by just naming a few things that our students need. That's actually in all the data that the folks who are honored here today are really behind. Our students need opportunity, choice, and power. They need college campuses that are ready for them, not campuses that are asking them to be ready for college, and not asking them to be ready for places and spaces that do not honor their authenticity or their lived experiences. They need policies and practices and language that is affirmation-based, that's strength-based, that's not pathology and deficit-based. They need an understanding that social mobility is tightly connected to a bachelor's degree in this country. They need an understanding that we're part of a movement to democratize potential for students from all walks of life, and that they are at the center of that. And so I know I am preaching to the choir. I know that you all get this, but it is pretty amazing. We all need this. In person is really great. And for those of you listening and tuning in, it's great to have you too. But we all need to be in the company of warriors, of our elders, of a multi-generational community, of people who are not just saying things, but are acting and making things happen. And people who are willing to give up some of our power in order to actually mobilize change in higher education. And that is what Excelencia is holding us up to. And I have signed up for the movement, and I hope you will follow too. I want to thank everyone who's received an award. Such role models, such amazing stuff for us. I learned a ton listening to the outlines and listening to our students. I'm so proud to share the space with you. And I hope that also offered some inspiration that we're not doing this, none of us is doing this alone. And our students can't either. So, pa'lante, siempre pa'lante. Thank you.
We are honored to be in your company. We are pleased to bring this 2022 Celebración de Excelencia to a pause. We do so with an eye to the future. Even as we get ready to hug and have brindes and to enjoy, we know that tomorrow, Monday, and the weeks ahead are all about growing our ranks. The compendium is not only an archival of everything you've heard, but it has its own modest call to arms with the information at the very back about the call for nominations for 2023. The belief that we all have that positive change is possible is a strength that we stoke in each other's company and that we celebrate together. This moment is when we want everyone who is on the Excelencia in Education team, of which they are all listed on the back of the compendium, to start migrating towards the front of the room. And the reason we want them to migrate towards the front of the room is so that all of you see them. But at the same time, we're getting ready to take a group picture. And Deborah and I need that firepower with us when we move to everyone on the stage standing, all the finalists who are sitting in their chairs coming up, and everyone who doesn't want to stand there and laugh at the picture taking, please feel free to begin the reception. Órale!